we're about 100 people, and we're really passionate about space and space adventure games and science fiction in general. And a lot of us grew up in the end of the 80s. And you know, at this time, like you had like Starfox. I grew up with Starfox. It was my first 3D game, and it blew my mind. Like it was on Super Nintendo. I was like, polygons. It was crazy. And so, but a lot of us, like, you know, movies about space adventures, TV shows that had toys as well that were connected to the TV show. So comic books, like, so a lot of us grew up with all those references. And so, yeah, Starlink is really born from our passion for space and all those space adventures that we grew up with being kids. It was a mix, you know, of excitement, stress, but also excitement and more stress also. And it's because, you know, like you're pitching the game to Nintendo quarters to pitch to Mr. Miyamoto and the original Starfox team. So it's like your heart is racing, you know, and it's kind of a once in a lifetime thing. So it was important that this game, Starlink, had to be something completely new that you have not seen before. The challenge was, how do you integrate the building part of the game into the gameplay? Basically, it was important for us that each planet would be very unique. So what we've done with our narrative team and also our art team is that before even creating the worlds, we started to build the geological story of those worlds. Because each of those worlds have different creatures, have different vegetation, and so you can see the creatures, how they evolve. And you can scan those creatures, and if you scan enough of those creatures, you'll discover more. You have a database in the game, and you discover more about how they live on those worlds and how they've evolved. So it was really important for us that when the feeling of exploration that is completely, you can explore those worlds completely seamlessly from one world to another, is really rewarded by the uniqueness of each of those worlds. And that was also a desire from the team, from us, to really have this range of worlds that you think you've seen it before, but it's different, and worlds that you've never seen it before. This idea of reconfiguring on the fly and create your own personal story. So of course there's a story in the game and all the characters, you know, have different personalities. So you can play the whole game with Fox if you want, but you can also play the whole game with Judge or with Hunter, or you can keep swapping between those pilots, and you will have their own personality looking at the events that are happening in Starlink. So I think this is something really cool, and I think that players have not experienced something like this, where you actually build a starship, you choose your combination in real life. I think this is something really new that is really interesting and that players didn't experience before. Also, I mean, we've put a lot of care and love into those starships, and I think that if you look at the quality of those models, of the ships, but also the pilots and the weapons, they look absolutely gorgeous, and it's really something that we're very proud, and because we wanted starship that look more like collectibles, but collectibles that you can interact with, so they're not fragile. You can play with them, you can mix and match and just like put it together, like, and this is something that is challenging to do, but I think we've managed to reach a balance of like looking absolutely gorgeous and being playable with. When you play with Fox McCloud and the R-Wing on Nintendo Switch exclusively, of course, you're gonna realize that Fox is a bit more than just a guest. You're gonna see Falco, Sleepy, and Peppy that are gonna be there as well. They're gonna talk to the Starlink team and with Fox all together to try to figure out how to adapt, to overcome to what's happening in the story of Starlink. And they are in search of Wolf O'Donnell, the legendary rival of Fox McCloud. So there's different types of enemies in the game with different size, and you can see all the weapons have different energy in them, whether it's like a crush energy or frost energy. And when you mix and match them, you're gonna discover new combos. So Like for example, if you mix and match your flamethrower and your frost barrage, you can chill down the enemies with this one, so it will slow them down. And then you can use flamethrower to create like thermal shock. But what's cool, and this is why we call it creative combat, is that even if you don't combo weapons together, the weapons are fun on their own. Then we get some enemies in the game that are smaller and that are running on the ground and they try to latch on the ship. And so what you can do, you can set the ground on fire and the fire will stay there. So when they walk, they'll pass through it and they'll catch fire and take damage over time. So you can, creative combat is that idea of like mix and matching all of this to create your playstyle. I think that's a big thing. I like Judge ability because Judge can slow down time. So if there's a lot of enemy on the battlefield and a lot of projectiles coming at you, you can use Judge ability and slow down the time for everybody. But Judge and the ship that you're using at this time will keep their speed. So you can just like see the bullets going like this and just slalom between them and flank the enemies and destroy the Forgotten Legion like this. So I like this ability a lot. Sometimes also some enemies have a core weak point that is going to stay open just for a short amount of time. So you can use this ability to kind of like slow down time and do a lot of damage to the core of this enemy before it closes up. It did something really cool. So I told you that I grew up with Starfox, and something that I remember is that first music, that Corneria music, when you remember that music? And so when you use Fox ability, Fox can call in another Starfox member as a support. So wherever you are, if you're in space, if you're at the surface on the planet, you can use Fox ability and one of the Starfox members will come. It can be Sleepy, it can be Peppy, it can be Falco, it's random, and they will help you for a limited amount of time. But during that time, this is the music you're gonna hear. We reorchestrated this music, so it's gonna be I hope it's gonna be a big nostalgia for all Starfox fans in the world. I hope players will enjoy the experience, what we've been building for the past 5 years. It's really been a passion project for us at Ubisoft Toronto. And I also hope that players from all age will play with the game. It's also a great game, you know, you can play a co-op split screen locally. I also hope, secretly, I hope that players will collect the starship, and some of them, because players are very talented, so some of them will repaint it, add more details, and add like enthusiast players who have good skills on painting models, that they would like push the paint of the ship even further and come up with crazy paint jobs for their ships. So I hope to see that also.
Let's be honest here. You guys need all the help you can get.